We are here with the former WWE Champion and CEO of Celestial Bodies, Celeste Bonin. Celeste, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
How's your day going out there?
It's really great. It's like 157,000 degrees in South Florida, so
Wow.
That's why I'm sweating. It's super hot.
Tell us a little bit about how did you get started in the WWE and in your wrestling career? Why don't you give us the breakdown?
So I got signed. I moved my whole life down to South Florida. I was only there for a few weeks. I never wrestled before. I didn't have an in-ring persona. I didn't have an arsenal of moves or a style of wrestling, and I ended up getting called up to debut on WWE TV.
Wow.
After only a couple of weeks of being signed with the company. And it was because they have a show called NXT, and it used to be a reality-based elimination show. The show was live.
Wow.
So I debuted on live TV, literally wrestled for the first time ever on live TV. I ended up winning that season. It was we were rookies, and so I won that the season, so it gave me a spot on the main roster. Wow. And then I kind of just clawed my way up the ladder, learning how to wrestle as I went. And I think 3 years in, I became the Divas Champion. So it was just a really crazy ride.
Wow. What was it like? Were you nervous the first time you went out there? Tell us about how did it feel when you were out there?
Well, when I got the call that I was going to debut and, I had no experience, I cried. But it was just an instant reaction because I was I'm not ready. Oh my God, why is this happening? And then when I had a chance to kind of let it settle and really sink in that I was given this amazing opportunity, I was well, screw it. No one expects anything from me at this point, and I have nothing to lose. And that's the attitude that I went out there with, and it actually ended up being the best thing that could have happened to me. Wow. And so I told myself that if I could make it through that I could make it through anything. Yeah. And that's kind of been my mantra.
Wow. When you were growing up, was there somebody that you idolized, as a wrestler? Who did you look up to?
So I wasn't a huge wrestling fan as a kid. My brother was, and so everything my brother did, I wanted to do because I really looked up to him. He was kind of the one I loved when I was a little kid, but when I got older and I really started noticing the women, the female wrestlers, I always had such a girl crush on Beth Phoenix.
Oh,
because
yeah.
She was, and she kind of embodied what I wanted to be. She was the strongest woman on the roster, and at that time there were so many model types, and I knew I wasn't that type. I've always been jacked since I was 5. It was just genetically, and I just have a ton of muscle, and so I looked at her and she made me feel I could do it. I could be, I could be her, or I could strive to be like her. And so I got the opportunity to work with her a lot when I made it to the main roster, and she was incredible, and she taught me so much. So it was really cool being able to meet somebody that I idolized.
What was it that spawned you out there to really go into wrestling? I know that there's some your childhood and everything, but was there a moment? Can you give us something that really a turning event?
I don't know if I could pinpoint one moment, but I when I was 19 or 20, I loved fitness, and I wanted to try to do fitness competitions, and I did maybe 3 or 4 figure competitions. Right. And it was fun, and I loved it, and I loved the commitment and the dedication and all that, and I've always loved working out and pushing myself to the limit. But I always felt for me that I was a very static version of myself, and I wanted to become this or have a platform to be this very dynamic person. Right. And professional wrestling was kind of the best of both of those worlds, the physical athleticism and all the hard work and training, and then also the opportunity to have over the top character and be ridiculous, and that's the part of that's the world that it is, and so it's accepted. And so it was that kind of through my experience in competing and being in the fitness industry that I realized professional wrestling is kind of perfect for me.
Tell us about the women's empowerment that you've been doing, and how that's how you've been impacting women out there.
I really wanted to take this platform that I had built in wrestling and use it to empower women and make women feel good about themselves and what they're wearing, and because I'm such a huge advocate of when you look good, you feel good, you know, and so that has a lot to do with your clothes. And so that was my initial, you know, thought and my motivation behind creating a women's fitness apparel line. And then somewhere along the way, the culture and the message of Celestial Bodies became a little bit over-sexualized. And, you know, we were just using super, you know, fitness models and kind of these women with unattainable looks. And I would get messages from people on social media or in person saying, you know, oh, I love your brand. I can't wait to get it in good enough shape to wear your leggings. And that was like the total opposite message that I wanted to send. So I went through like a really tough divorce last year in 2017. And I basically restructured my entire company, the entire vision and the feel and the vibe, and started, you know, I redid all of my my photos and the models that I used, and just the messages throughout social media and my ads. I kind of just really focused in on empowering women instead of making women feel like they had to look a certain way to wear, you know, my clothing brand. And I felt like I've done a good job about being very open and relatable about all the struggles that I've gone through over the past like year or two with my marriage and kind of like starting over, building my company. And I've gotten such an overwhelming amount of feedback on, you know, in person, social media expos about women who are like, you know, thank you for sharing your story. I went through a similar situation. And, you know, so it means so much to me to be able to relate to these women that, you know me from, whether it's wrestling or just in the fitness industry or whatever it is. It's really amazing.
And what do you do? Like, what is it that you can give women out there right now? If you were to give them some advice, what would you give them in terms of, you know, performing? Like, how do you get psyched up? How do you get motivated? And what sort of, like, you know, guidance or inspiration could give them out there right now today?
I just try to always maintain that attitude, the attitude of, you know, what do I have to lose? What's the worst that can happen? And yeah, there's some probably pretty bad scenarios, pretty embarrassing things that could happen. But, you know, in the bigger picture, what's the worst that could happen when you put yourself out there and you know, you're under a ton of pressure? What is the worst? And you know, 9 times out of 10, you're going to do it, you're going to go kill it, and you're going to come back and you're like, well, that wasn't so bad. And then you kind of restore that in your brain for next time you're under a high pressure situation where you have to perform. You kind of like remember, well, last time I thought this was like the end of the world because I was so nervous, and then I went out there and I killed it. So you kind of like refocus and rechannel that. And then I think the last thing would be that I always have fun no matter what. Because I feel like when you don't love what you're doing, then it's time to step away. And you know, so if you don't love it, it's time to step away. But it's also, it's normal to be nervous and have anxiety about high pressure situations. So the minute you lose that too, then it's also time to step away.
I know you've done a lot of work with women, you know, and addiction, and, you know, can you give us some insight on, you know, yourself in the past, how you've overcome addiction, and how can you, you know, give us some ideas and feedback?
I know for me personally, and I can always only speak from my experiences, you know, it took me hitting rock bottom several times before I really realized, okay, I have to understand the reasons that led me to addiction. I have to understand certain things about myself and not be so hard on myself. Like, I learned so much about myself through my divorce, through, you know, recovering from, you know, drug and alcohol addiction. And the biggest thing I can take away is that I have major flaws in certain areas of my life, and that's okay, because like everybody does. And so no one's perfect. And like you said, like on social media, it's everybody's highlight reel is what I like to say. So you know, it took therapy, and it took definitely hitting rock bottom a few times, and then opening up myself to people that I trusted, whether they're family, friends, to hold myself accountable. And that's huge too, because a lot of times, addiction, whether it's to shopping or, you know, it's a food addiction or, you know, drugs and alcohol, so many things can be addicting, and it's shameful, and you at first I hid all of it. And I kept it to myself. And then when I started opening up about it to friends and family, I realized that it held me accountable. And then when I became even more comfortable to talk about it on like social media platforms, then I realized like I was truly on the way to recovery. I feel like we're always in recovery because, you know, you're never completely beat an addiction. You're always going to have it. So I think like it comes in different steps, and every step you have to be honest with yourself, and then you can start being honest with your loved ones and people that you trust. And if you're brave enough, you can be honest on social media. And that's not for everybody, obviously, but I felt like because I went through so much in such a short period of time that it was kind of, I needed to share it on social media because I got so much feedback in a positive way. Like the first time I shared, I think it was like about a year ago, I shared an Instagram post about addiction and having to go through like a rehab and like all that and feeling like I wanted to die and like all these things. And I got hundreds and hundreds of comments and not one of them was negative. It was all like so positive and people telling me their stories, complete strangers. I had emails for weeks of people, because I have my email on my Instagram account, and I literally had people just pouring their heart out over email, and like I'm a complete stranger, so they felt like they could relate to me, and that was so special. So
right.
I haven't done a ton of things specifically with rehab. I did, or addiction recovery, but I did a little, I don't know if you call it like a PSA. I did a video interview with this rehab clinic that reached out to me. And I made a trip out there, and I sat down, and I was super open and honest about a ton of things. And it was really therapeutic for me. And then when it came out, it was hard to watch because it was the first time I'd ever watched myself talk about the really hard stuff. And then I made myself watch it a bunch of times, and then I felt confident enough to like share it and be like, hey guys, here's my stuff. Like, this is as bad as it gets. And that, and I think that just helps people feel like they're not alone.
Yeah. So, tell us about Social Bodies and what that's about, and how that's going and how people can get in touch with you.
Okay, so a little quick story about Celestial Bodies. When I first started, I had this concept from my wrestling gear. I used to have the seamstresses backstage sew this little ruching in kind of like the rear seam of the leggings, and it created this kind of super curve-hugging result in all of I had it sewn into all my wrestling shorts, pants, one pieces. And then I took that concept and I was like, why is nobody doing this in leggings? Because I'm not alone. Like, every girl loves to wear leggings. They're comfortable, they're flattering, they're just, you can live in them. And it's much more widely accepted that leggings are pants now. Yeah. So I just knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that as a more muscular girl, I kind of had issues finding clothes that fit me really well or were super flattering. So I had this vision, okay, I'm going to create this line that's going to make women feel confident, comfortable, they can train in it, they can hang out in it, whatever. So I took some of my wrestling gear and I took it to a woman that makes competition suits for like bikini and figure competitors, and she made me a prototype. So it became the signature of my brand. Do you
what do you have anything? Show us something.
This is a pair of shorts that I had made as a wrestling outfit. Yeah. And this is my logo right here sewn in. Nice. And then, so I don't know if you can see it. So this is the seam in the butt. It's called Booty Scrunch.
Nice.
And so I was the first company to put it. So I put this in shorts, leggings, bodysuits. It's the signature of my line, Booty Scrunch. And every garment that I sell, I've designed myself. Nice. And it was made in the U.S. And so 100% made in the USA. And it's active wear, but it's stuff that you can wear to work. You can wear it just if you're gonna like hang out and watch Netflix, and you can dress it up too. So I've really tried hard to kind of consider everything that we as women do throughout the day, and try to find something that's comfortable, flattering, and something that lasts.
So show us this clothing that you've got on. I'm sure everybody wants to see how it looks on you.
So I have I don't know if you can see it. These are my limited edition. Here's my scrunch. I don't know if you can see it.
Nice. Nice.
Weird. Okay, so this is where the scrunch goes. Yeah. Just kind of like curves, accentuates your body. This is a sports bra. So this is the great thing about the sports bra. So I design everything, and I design it with all types of women in mind. The amazing thing about that is, so I'm obviously super picky about the sports bras I wear, so I designed this with myself in mind, but I have models and, you know, girls that work for me that have smaller natural breasts, and the bras fit just as well. So like I really try to put out stuff that's super universal for all body types. And so like I have my really, you know, my best sellers, my solids that I'll always have that are just like staples of any, you know, legging collection. But I put out really fun limited edition prints seasonally and for like different holidays. So my most recent limited release was this super like 90s feel, kind of like Blossom-esque with, you know, grungy plaids. And so the super obnoxious florals that I did for the last release, and they're just super fun, and like all of them have the signature scrunch, which obviously looks different, you know, when you hold it up than it does on the body. So it's fun to do these limited prints because it kind of gets it.
Nice. I like those.
These are like
those
really
are hot.
super.
Those are hot.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the problem with making really high quality leggings is that they last, right? So you're not having to constantly replace them. So when you, you know, I have a super loyal customer base, and so they have, you know, all of the you know, the blacks, the grays, the stuff, you know, the staple leggings, and so they don't need new ones because they're super durable, they last. And so I come out with these new fun prints because it's something that, you know, something fresh, keeps them coming back just for variety. And I literally, it's super important to me to live, breathe, sleep celestial body. So it's literally all I wear unless I, you know, have to go to court. This is a terrible example. Right. So like I just love, and that's the fun part too, is like, and I love, like I'm in love with plaid, like, and flannels and stuff like that. So I put out a lot of plaid.
Nice.
So that's the fun stuff.
Our customers love discounts. Can you give us any sort of coupon, or how could people act today and get some sort of special offer or something going on with Celeste Bodies? How would they do that? How would they go?
So they'll go to celestialbodies.com. So it's celestialbodies with a Z.com. And, you know, put everything you want in your cart. And then when you check out, we'll give you whatever you choose the discount code to be. I'll go in and activate it in the system just for the people that are listening.
Let's make it Perform Podcast.
Okay. So WWE is holding their second annual Mae Young Classic.
Mae Young.
It's a tournament, and they pull in 32 women from around the world, and basically people that are not on the WWE roster. So, you know, I'm alumni, so far I think I'm the only one that's alumni, but they pull in, you know, independent wrestlers from just representing all countries, and they do this really big tournament. And so I will be participating in that. So it's my first time doing anything WWE related in 4.5 years.
Wow.
So it's my big WWE return, and we did an interview with ESPN about it, and so I'm really excited. And I film it early August, which is just coming up in like 2 weeks, so I'm a little nervous. I'll take some of my own advice about performing.
Yeah.
And it'll air in early fall, I'm pretty sure, and then the finals will air a little bit later this year, and that will be on the WWE Network.
Nice. Are you taking any supplements or any health tips or any fitness tips you want to give our viewers right now?
I actually just recently went vegan, and I never even entertained it before, but I just knew a lot of people that I, you know, around me that just preach it, and, you know, they love it. And so I tried it, and I'm in like super good shape right now, just for making such a drastic change in my diet, because I've always had such a meathead mentality, you know, high protein and you know, chicken, turkey, beef, all that. And so I changed my diet maybe like 2.5 months ago, and I'm obsessed with eating vegan, and I feel good, and I feel good about just like, you know, the welfare of animals and all that stuff. So I'm doing that, and really the only thing I do like supplement wise is I take, you know, a BCAAs, and I'll take a fat burner every now and then, but I've gotten into vegan protein. So I'll have like a vegan protein shake every once in a while.
I'm trying to go vegan. I'm pescatarian right now, so I'm like slowly like making the transition.
What's pescatarian? Sorry, I don't know.
I don't eat beef or chicken or pork or any of that. But I'll eat fish, right? Like, so I'll have, you know, salmon or tuna or sushi, but I won't have, say, you know, a big steak dinner, right? It's been a big transition for me too. It's
just such a mindset. You know, you're like, well, I'm going to do it. And then it just kind of becomes how you do things.
And you feel better. Like, I don't know, I feel lighter. I feel more clear-headed. I feel not so heavy. You know,
you don't get heat sweats.
Yeah, this is true. All right, listen, it was a real pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and, you know, giving us all your feedback. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.